Hey guys, Tyler here, and this is the Garage Warrior podcast and video cast, and I'm super excited today to have on the call Kusha. Damn it, I blew your last name. What's going on, man? What's the last name? How do I pronounce it?
Karvandi.
Karvandi.
Yeah.
He just told me right before we got on the podcast, and I was like, Karvandi, and then I lost it out of my head. Kusha, we're going to talk a lot about some really cool stuff today. I'm really excited in particular because technology is becoming this really huge thing in the fitness industry, but it's just beginning, and we're going to talk a lot about that today. Before we begin, can you give us kind of like a background, who you are, and what are you hoping to teach people?
Yeah, I started in the fitness industry about eight years ago as a personal trainer. I've kind of done everything from, personal training to health club management from, San Diego to New York. And, my main goal is really to kind of change the way that people train. I want to change the way they think about training and really change the focus of training.
Yeah, that's so simple, man. I like how you keep that really simple. I think that both you and I should call out the elephant in the room first and just talk about how most people, most trainers, I should say, are just terrible. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'd say for the most part, if you think about, personal trainer, they don't have to be like a registered dietitian. They don't have to go through the same licensing. So I feel like there's few barriers to entry to become a personal trainer, that you just have so much obscurity in the field. You have all these people who come in that, maybe they worked out a lot. They're a gym rat. They maybe sounded or looked like they knew what they're doing. So they got hired at their gym and people listen to them. People don't really have a frame of reference. So they listen to anybody who kind of reduces that obscurity and they latch onto it.
Yeah. I like how you said frame of reference there. That's really powerful because you're right. Like to them, whoever is their personal trainer is the expert, regardless of whether the personal trainer has a weekend certification or no certification at all. So I like how you mentioned that. What do you think that people need to do to become more of an expert, and how do they know who to trust? That's one of the things I get asked all the time. How do we know who actually understands movement, who understands body function? So like, let's break that apart into two questions. How should people educate themselves to become better and more knowledgeable about this so they can't get swindled by some lazy personal trainer? And then how can those lazy personal trainers get better as well?
Yeah, the thing is that I get a lot of my philosophies from a guy named Mike Boyle. He's a strength coach, and he's got a good system in terms of like, how you should move and how you should try to mobilize the joints, and really his whole philosophy on like activating the core. But a lot of my more kind of next level new age stuff is from an organization called Z Health, and all their stuff is based on neuroscience. So they're an organization that's not accredited, so they don't have the red tape and the bureaucracy that National Academy of Sports Medicine or some of those other guys have. So they can actually pivot and reiterate newer, better, more relevant information faster. And their stuff's really, in my opinion, the most valuable because it is brain-based training. And everything that we know about why people have pain, why they have lack of mobility and tightness, why they have to stretch and foam roll, why they're not seeing results in the gym, or sometimes going backward in the gym. It all relates really back to where their nervous system is at and really where their brain is at.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the Z Health stuff. I think that stuff is absolutely fantastic. But like anything, you got to find somebody who's studied it really well and actually understands the fine tunes of it, because just the beginning certifications they do are just scratching the surface of their whole system.
Exactly.
So that's very cool. So how do people know who to trust? How do people know how to trust? Because you're the manager of a really popular, huge gym down in San Diego. I'm sure that you keep a tight hold on your trainers, make sure they're doing a good job. But like, the average person, when they walk into a gym, how do they know somebody really understands movement and isn't going to hurt them?
Well, really, the main thing that they should be looking for is, what does the trainer have a system? That's in the simplest terms, does the trainer have a method to the madness? And that's my problem with CrossFit and those methodologies. There is no method to the madness.
Right.
It's randomized, and that's a problem. There should be program design and something called periodization, where you actually have some kind of thought process as to how you're going to progress the individual. So the trainer should, very first and foremost, should explain what's their system. What are they going to do, and is it methodical, or are they just making it up as they go? The unfortunate reality is most trainers just kind of make it up as they go. They don't have anything in front of them, no clipboard, no workout card. They want to be a trainer because it's cool, and they think they can make some money doing it. And that really just, to me, that's exploiting the customer. To me, I look at that as you're allowing them to rent a friend for an hour, and that's not what we're in the business in. We're really in the business of really actually helping people and making a difference, changing the way they work out, changing the way they live, changing the way they eat. So they have to have some kind of a system, some kind of a process. And that's why you see things like, Precision Nutrition, John Berardi and Z Health. You see these things as being successful because they have a system, and it's simple. It's a simplified, it's not easy, it's comprehensive, it's complex, but it's simplified in the sense that they have, step 1, 2, 3, and 4 to get you from point A to Z.
I couldn't agree more, man. I think that's that's a really simple way to put it. It's just, do you have a system? Do you have a philosophy that you use with your clients? I think that's so powerful, because I think that a lot of people might just get distracted by the next thing. Maybe they'll do like one Z Health certification, and that'll lead them to do a MoveNet kind of deal, and that'll lead them to do like an RKC kind of deal, and then so on and so forth. I'm guilty of looking at a lot of different areas, but then you don't become a true expert at anything, and then you can't really impart or teach that expertise to anyone. So I couldn't agree more with that. That system is really powerful. Well, I'm really excited about this call to talk about technology, because you're not just a sharp trainer. You're also very, very much a whiz with technology. And I think that is one of the biggest things that's going to change the way our trainers change the way people approach fitness in general, is technology. What's just kind of like your overall kind of vision of where the fitness industry is going in relationship to technology?
Well, my goal is that, technology will help, on the consumer end. It's going to help reinforce habits, because changing people's lives and changing outcomes requires changing millions of little processes throughout the day, changing your habits. So and unfortunately, too many people and too many trainers are still focused on outcomes. They're still focused on body weight and body fat percentages and stuff. And they should be more focused on the behavioral based changes, on getting you to drink more water, eat more greens throughout the day, eating to 80% full. Those simple habits that will lead to tremendous results if done consistently. So I think that technology will reinforce that. I think it will help ferment those habits much easier, because humans, it's not that we're lazy. I think it's just that, we get certain things encoded in our brain, and it's just so hard to change it. It's just so hard to adapt to something different without a stimulus.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. I wrote a book called The 27 Body Transformation Habits, which is just very small daily tips, weekly tips, and monthly tips that people can use, that they can forge into habits. So I couldn't agree more that just those little tiny subtle things are so important. How is technology going to affect that?
Yeah, I think changing those little things, I think a lot of that's going to come from wearables. I think Apple's really going to disrupt that with their iWatch and with their new health kit. They're going to have, not only some new hardware and software that's going to help really reinforce those behaviors by giving you the right data. I think the problem right now is that all the things that are out there, like Fitbit and some of those Wi-Fi scales, they're all novel, but they don't actually really help you change anything, because they don't give you guidance. That's why I think, the future of personal training really with technology is going to be in virtual coaching and program design, giving you a program, allowing you to be asynchronous, and then giving you the right coaching and managing all of your habits so that you actually do change.
Yeah, because ultimately it comes down to whether or not you're accountable to the plan that somebody creates for you, correct?
Exactly. I think I read a study once that said something about compliance, and it said if you give a client one thing to comply to, they'll be 87% compliant. If you give them two things, they'll be 37%. So the numbers drop drastically. And you think about most people who want to get fit, they don't attack one thing. They try to attack a dozen things. They try to change their diet overnight. They try to change their exercise behaviors overnight, and that doesn't work. You need to focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more. I used to give people this book that was like 30 pages of nutrition advice, let alone like you've got to stretch in there. I just give them all this stuff and be like, read all that and do it, and then I'll teach you that. And it just didn't work. Finally, I started sliding a piece of paper over that said, drink a gallon of water. I said, when you do that for a week, let's talk about the next one, right? It's just It's just so much more about simple, small steps now that generate that change over a life, like the course of that person's entire life. I'm interested in your thoughts on the technology replacing the trainer, because we started this call off talking about how most trainers aren't really worth a damn. And I'm talking to lots of different people, and it seems like the general trend and the people who are on the cutting edge are talking about technology that creates program design specific to you, progressions, regressions, corrective exercises. Then there's even people talking about visual recognition software where you just set your laptop up, you do a squat in front of that damn thing, and it says, oh, you have a collapse on your right knee, push your right knee out. It starts training you in such a way that a physical therapist would be training you. What's your thoughts on all this stuff? Do you think that that's likely a possibility in the next decade?